This winter isn't just shaping up to be cold, it's shaping up to be unpredictable, unstable, and more expensive than anything we've seen in years. Heating costs are projected to spike across the country. Rolling blackouts are already being tested in some states, and with energy grids under pressure from coast to coast, we're looking at a dangerous mix of high bills and low reliability. But here's the part that caught my attention, because if you're not ahead of it, you could be left freezing in the dark, paying twice as much for half as much comfort. That's why today's video matters. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 11 cheap, everyday items that can help you stay warm when the power goes out and cut your heating bill, even if it doesn't. I'm talking about stuff that's already in your home, stuff most people overlook, and how to turn it into real winter protection. Hey, welcome back. I don't normally drop everything to make a video like this, but after tracking this year's winter models, talking to grid specialists, and seeing what's already happening in places like Colorado, Kansas, and the Carolinas, I realized something. We're not just heading into a cold season, we're heading into a fragile one, where one bad storm, one equipment failure, or one overloaded system could flip everything. And while most people are waiting for the forecast, smart folks are prepping for what happens after it fails. So in this video, I'll show you how to turn items like aluminum foil, dry rice, candles, towels, even old cookware into tools that actually help you hold the heat, stretch your supplies, and stay safe when the grid doesn't hold up. And before we dive in, drop a comment. Have your bills gone up already? Noticed empty shelves or price jumps in your town? Seen weird weather where it shouldn't be? Because what's showing up in your local store or utility bill might be the first sign of what's coming next for all of us. Number 11, blackout curtains. They're hanging in your bedroom right now. Heavy, dark, maybe a little dusty. But what if I told you those blackout curtains aren't just for sleep? They could be your first line of defense when the grid goes down. Because when the heat shuts off, it's not the outside temperature that gets you first. It's the cold leaking in from every window, every door frame, every crack you forgot about. And blackout curtains? They do more than block light. They trap warmth. They hold heat inside. They stop the draft before it steals your comfort. Most homes lose over 30% of their warmth through windows, even closed ones. Glass is a terrible insulator. But when you use blackout curtains not just in bedrooms, but over doorways, across open hallways, or to section off entire rooms, you're doing what your thermostat can't. You're concentrating survival. The invisible danger? You won't feel the warmth slipping away until it's already gone. You won't hear the cold air creeping in. You won't notice your core temperature dropping until you're shaking and it's too late to fix. Smart people already know this. They've repurposed blackout curtains to build thermal zones in their homes. One room, one heat source, one barrier between them and the cold. So if you've got them in storage, dig them out. If you don't, get them before prices spike. Because in a blackout, your walls won't save you, but the right curtain might. Number 10, metal cookie tins. You probably have one tucked in the back of a cabinet. A shiny metal cookie tin, maybe still holding stale sweets, buttons, or sewing thread. But in a blackout, that old tin might become one of the most useful tools in your entire home. Here's why. Metal holds heat, resists flame, and reflects energy, which makes cookie tins the perfect base for improvised heaters, safe candle setups, and thermal traps. Place a few tea light candles inside, with the lid slightly cracked, and you've got a small radiant heat source, one that warms hands, heats mugs, or keeps a small space livable. Stack 2 tins with a bit of space between them, and you create a micro-convection system, heat rising, metal conducting, warmth spreading. And they're not just for heat. They seal tight, stay dry, and protect matches, batteries, or meds when the air gets damp and cold creeps in. Here's what most people miss. In an emergency, anything that holds heat, protects supplies, or prevents fire risk isn't clutter, it's survival infrastructure. The silent danger? You won't know which containers are safe until it's too late. Plastic melts, glass cracks. But a metal tin? It stays stable, even when the rest of the room doesn't. During power outages in 2021, hundreds of households used cookie tins to build makeshift candle warmers after electric heat failed. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. So before you toss that holiday tin, think. Because when the lights go out, it's not about how things look. It's about what still works. Number 9, binder clips. You've used them to hold paper, maybe to seal a bag of chips or organize wires, but those little binder clips sitting in your junk drawer? They're low-key survival tools, and smart people already know it. Because when the grid fails and cold starts creeping through the cracks, it's not just the heat you need to protect, it's the space. You need to seal rooms, hang blankets, hold up thermal curtains, and create makeshift barriers that keep warm air from escaping. Enter the binder clip. Small, steel, stronger than it looks. It turns any blanket into a curtain, any towel into a draft blocker, any plastic sheet into a wind wall. Got no nails? No hooks? No fancy setup? No problem. Binder clips let you lock insulation over windows, clamp together overlapping layers, or hang emergency thermal blankets from shelves, chairs, or broken curtain rods, no tools needed. In a cold emergency, speed matters. And being able to turn a pile of fabric into a thermal seal in 30 seconds? That's not convenience. That's strategy. The invisible threat? You won't hear the cold leaking in. You won't see your body heat escaping. But every uncovered window, every gap above the door, every loose edge, that's warmth slipping away. And once it's gone, getting it back takes far more than a space heater. Binder clips cost pennies. They weigh nothing. And in the middle of a blackout, they give you control over airflow, over heat zones, over survival. So the next time you see a box of them at a dollar store, grab them. Because when the temperature drops and the house starts cooling, you won't be reaching for tape, you'll be clipping your way to warmth. Number 8. Old yoga mats. You think yoga mats are just for stretching, sweat, and downward dog? Think again. That rolled-up mat collecting dust in your garage might be one of the most underrated winter survival tools in your home. Why? Because most yoga mats are made of closed-cell foam, the same kind used in camping pads and thermal insulation. Which means, it doesn't just cushion, it blocks cold. It traps body heat. It stops floor chill from bleeding into your bones while you sleep, sit, or even stand. And when the power goes out, and the floor turns to ice, that yoga mat becomes a thermal barrier between you and a cold that never stops sinking in. Here's what smart people do. They cut them. Line windowsills. Tape strips under door gaps. Layer them beneath sleeping bags or under emergency beds. Even roll them into tight coils and tuck them inside jackets' insulation where it counts. You don't need money. You need material. And yoga mats? They're built for survival whether their manufacturers know it or not. The invisible risk? You don't feel floor chill until your feet go numb. You don't realize your back is losing heat until your spine stiffens. And once core temp starts slipping, you're chasing survival uphill. In emergency shelters and frozen homes across the country, families have quietly used yoga mats to outlast freezing nights while others never thought to try. So go dig it out of the closet. Because this winter, your old yoga mat won't be about fitness. It'll be about staying warm when nothing else does. Number 7. Vacuum flask. You pour in hot tea. Hours later, it's still warm. But what if I told you that same vacuum flask, the one sitting in your kitchen cabinet, could be the difference between staying warm and falling into hypothermia when the grid fails? Most people think of a thermos as a convenience, but in a blackout, it becomes a lifeline. Because when you've lost power and the cold sets in, your stove doesn't work, your microwave doesn't beep. And if you're lucky enough to boil water once, you better make it last. That's where the vacuum flask becomes powerful. Its double-walled insulation locks in heat for up to 12 hours, sometimes longer. Fill it once, and you've got warm drinks, soups, even hot water for washing all through the night. But here's what most people miss. It's not just about what's inside the thermos, it's what it does to your body. Warm fluids help your core stay stable. They prevent cold shock, reduce shivering, and support blood flow, especially in seniors. And when your surroundings are freezing, every sip is a delay against the cold. The hidden danger? You think you'll just heat things as needed. But when the power's gone, as needed turns into too late. Your body starts cooling before you even realize it, and you've lost the window to fight back. That's why preppers, hikers, and off-grid experts swear by vacuum flasks. They preload warmth, they hold it tight, and they buy you time when nothing else will. So don't treat that flask like a travel accessory. Treat it like winter armor. Because in a power outage, heat isn't a luxury, it's a strategy. Number 6. Canned heat. You've seen them at buffets, those little cans heating trays of food. But what if I told you that same canned heat could be the only thing standing between your family and a freezing night when the power goes out? Most people walk right past them in hardware stores or restaurant aisles. $3, no batteries, no moving parts. But when the grid fails and your stove turns into dead metal, canned heat becomes your off-grid fuel source. These small tins, often labeled chafing fuel or sterno, burn clean, burn hot, and burn for hours. All you need is a match and a safe surface. Heat a bowl of soup, boil water for tea. Warm your hands or cook a simple meal. No plugs, no wires, no noise. Just fire ready when everything else fails. Here's what most people don't realize. When cold hits and you stop eating hot food, your body shifts. Digestion slows. Blood flow weakens. Your core temp starts falling quietly, dangerously. The invisible risk? You think hunger will be your biggest issue. But in a winter blackout, it's heat loss from the inside that starts the spiral. One lukewarm meal, one cold drink, and your body stops fighting. That's why smart preppers stock canned heat by the dozen. It doesn't go bad. It doesn't take space. And when the room goes dark and silent, it lights up with instant survival power. So next time you walk past that dusty shelf at the dollar store, stop. Because one can might mean the difference between comfort and collapse. And in winter 2025, backup heat won't be optional. It'll be what separates the warm from the desperate. Number 5, plastic shower caps. They look like throwaway bathroom junk. Flimsy, crinkly, good for one hotel stay and then straight into the trash. But what if I told you that plastic shower caps, yes, those are quietly being used by smart preppers to fight winter blackouts? It sounds ridiculous until you realize what cold actually does. Cold doesn't just hit your skin, it steals your moisture, your heat, and your movement. And sometimes, what you need isn't just insulation, it's containment. That's where shower caps come in. During freezing conditions, people have used them to trap body heat in shockingly effective ways. Not on your head in the shower, but over wool socks, around gloved hands, even inside boots or under hats. That extra plastic layer, it blocks wind, seals warmth, and keeps moisture from pulling your body temp down through evaporation. Here's what makes it dangerous. You can feel sort of warm and still be on the edge. You sweat a little, the moisture chills, and suddenly, you're shaking. It's wet cold, the silent killer most people overlook. The hidden threat? You won't know when your gloves stop helping. You won't realize your socks are damp until your toes go numb. You won't catch the heat leak until the damage is done. But add a $10 shower cap? Now your layers lock in heat, stay dry longer, and push back against wind and cold-like gear that costs 20x more. That's why survivalists love them. They're light, they're cheap, they're geniuses. And when you need just one more layer between you and freezing air, you'll wish you had 5. So next time you see a pack of them for $1, don't laugh, grab them. Because in the cold, even plastic has power. Number 4, cardboard boxes. You break them down, toss them in the garage, maybe keep one for packing. But when the power goes out and the temperature starts dropping, that dusty cardboard box might be your best friend. Because in a blackout winter when the heat's gone, the walls are cold, and your blanket isn't enough, the fight isn't about staying cozy. It's about preventing your core temperature from falling, 1 degree at a time. Cardboard doesn't look like survival gear, but it's made of layered fiber sheets filled with air pockets that act like mini thermal traps. It's not pretty, but neither is frostbite. Here's what smart people do. They cut them open, line the floors under blankets, use them to box in bedding, creating a heat-retaining shell. Turn small boxes into hand-warming chambers with candles or hot water bottles inside, and in extreme situations, they've even curled up inside large appliance boxes lined with quilts to create DIY bed tents that hold body heat like nothing else. It sounds desperate until it works. And the invisible danger? You think you're warm enough until your back starts aching, until your breath fogs the air but your toes don't feel it, until the mattress gets cold from underneath and the chill starts creeping up your spine. In shelters during the Texas freeze of 2021, some families built cardboard sleeping enclosures and stayed warmer than those with electric blankets they couldn't plug in. Cardboard doesn't heat you up, it keeps heat from escaping. And that difference? It's everything. So don't look at that empty box like trash, look at it like armor. Because this winter, when the wind howls and the room feels colder by the hour, it won't be your thermostat that saves you. It'll be the scraps you almost threw away. Number 3, wire hangers. You see them in closets, bent and forgotten, cheap metal loops holding nothing but yesterday's shirt. But those wire hangers? They're more valuable than gold when the grid fails and winter bites. Smart preppers know that in a blackout, adaptability is everything, and wire hangers are one of the most versatile tools you already have at home. First, they become makeshift drying racks, suspended above radiators or candles, helping damp socks and clothes dry before they freeze because dampness is how heat disappears. Then, twisted into skewers, they turn into makeshift fire pokers or hot pot lifters when your hands are too numb to pull anything hot. Need to secure a curtain or blanket for insulation? A hanger clips it tight faster than tape can freeze. Want to rig a DIY clothesline in your living room? 2 chairs and a few hangers do the job. Then there's the gear organizer trick. Bend loops to clip bulky items onto your pack or coat, freeing your hands and pockets. In crisis, improvisation is survival. You can pull lost keys from deep crevices, fashion a temporary antenna, or even stitch fabric with a bit of hang wire and thread all from one forgotten item. But here's the invisible risk. You don't feel the temperature slipping until your hands go cold. You don't see your breath fogging the warmth disappearing until your clothes freeze to you. You don't notice circulation slowing until the weight of frost builds. In that moment, you realize the difference between staying mobile and freezing in place. Wire hangers aren't hype, they're resource. Smart families have used them to dry clothes, repair tents, lift heavy pots from bonfires, preserve warm meals, and even rig emergency lighting. And when the power's out and danger is breathing down your neck, having a handful of wire can mean holding on to dignity and warmth when everything else fails. So next time you reach for those plastic hangers, stop. Switch to wire ones, keep a few close. Because when winter survival becomes real, those cheap loops aren't clutter, they're lifelines. Number 2, paper grocery. They rip, they wrinkle. They sit crumpled in kitchen drawers or under the sink, waiting to be recycled or trashed. But in a power outage during freezing cold, those same paper grocery bags can become one of the smartest insulation tools in your entire home. Sounds ridiculous? That's what everyone thinks until the cold sets in, and the air inside your home starts pulling warmth out of your skin like a vacuum. Here's what most people don't realize. Paper bags are made of thick, fibrous material, filled with tiny air pockets, nature's original insulation. They don't conduct heat. They trap it. During blackout winters, survivalists have used them in dozens of ways, lining between blankets to trap body warmth, taping across windows as draft shields, wrapping around feet, inside socks, to block moisture and chill, layering under clothing, between thermal shirts and jackets, to reinforce body heat retention. And they work. Not because they're fancy, but because they slow heat loss just enough to make the difference. The invisible danger? You don't realize how fast heat escapes not until the frost hits the inside of your windows. You won't feel your core temp falling not until the cold settles in your spine. You won't see hypothermia coming, but it'll come, one cold draft at a time. In the Texas winter storm of 2021, dozens of families reported using brown paper bags to line windows, floors, and even block air vents when central heat shut down. It wasn't stylish, but it saved lives. They weigh nothing. They cost nothing. They last longer than plastic in cold air, and in the right hands, they become layered armor against a home turning into a freezer. Most people toss them. The smart ones fold and stack them. Because when the grid fails, the room gets quiet, and the cold starts slipping through the cracks. It won't be your expensive gear that saves you. It'll be the forgotten, overlooked junk drawer items, the ones that still work when nothing else does. Number 1, hand warmers. They seem small, disposable, something you grab last minute at a gas station or forget in the bottom of a coat pocket. But when the power goes out and the winter wind starts to bite, those little hand warmers can become your best defense against something most people never see coming. The slow, silent breakdown of body heat. The danger isn't the cold itself. It's how your body responds to it. Fingers stiffen, joints slow, and then without warning, your hands stop working. You can't open the canned food. You can't strike a match. You can't even grip the zipper to close your coat. That's how fast the cold takes over. Hand warmers change that. These pocket-sized packets are loaded with iron powder, salt, and activated charcoal, a chemical mix that, once exposed to air, begins producing steady, radiant heat for up to 10 hours. No flame, no batteries, no prep. Just warmth right when your body starts begging for it. But here's what most people get wrong. They use 1, maybe 2, and think they've got it covered. In blackout winter survival, hand warmers aren't luxuries. They're part of your thermal strategy. 1 in each glove, one in your boots, one tucked near your kidneys or chest. That's how you defend your circulation, not just your comfort. The invisible threat? You won't notice your grip weakening until it's too late. You won't realize your fingers are failing until the task in front of you becomes impossible. And when you're cold and alone, even tying a knot, holding a flashlight, or dialing a phone becomes a crisis. That's why seasoned preppers buy hand warmers in bulk. Not because they're overreacting, but because they've seen what happens when mobility goes. They're lightweight, shelf-stable, and unlike space heaters or heated blankets, they don't need power, just air. So next time you see a value pack of 40 for $10, grab 2. Because in a real winter emergency, survival doesn't come down to strength. It comes down to what you can still hold on to. And warm hands can hold on longer. And there it is, 11 dirt cheap items most sitting in your house right now that just might stand between you and the bitter cold of winter 2025. Not fancy gear, not overpriced gadgets, just the kind of old-school survival your grandparents would have called common sense before we forgot it. Now ask yourself, when the lights go out, will your home be ready, or will you be scrambling in the dark, wishing you'd taken one simple step earlier? Because the truth is, in every cold wave, there are 2 types of people, those who panic and those who prepared. You've already done more than most. You stayed till the end. That means something. But don't stop here. If this video helped even a little, hit subscribe now. Not just for you, for your family, your neighbors, anyone who might need to learn these forgotten tricks before it's too late. And hit like, not for the algorithm, but to push this video to someone who might be sitting in a cold apartment right now, not knowing what's coming. We don't fear winter. We outsmart it. One item at a time. See you in the next video where we uncover what's really safe in your pantry when the trucks stop rolling. Until then,